the chair.
Board of Selectmen's
Everyone knows
meeting,
she runs
October
it.
That's right,
4,
she runs this place.
2021.
Keeping track.
This is a great stand you got there, Mark.
We're trying anything we can to. Let's see.
But
We need another.
I talked Dennis into getting that, because everybody's up there with stuff falling all over the
Oh,
place.
yeah.
I only have a podium, you know?
Camera angle right, you gotta make sure you get Ted's good side.
Yeah,
Yeah. The one with all the tools.
Did they pull?
Huh?
Did they pull?
No, it's sort of screw around. Call the meeting to order. We'll review the minutes of September 20th and
what about the
September
flag,
25th.
Mr. Chairman?
Pardon?
Flag?
I believe.
Oh. All in favor? We're gonna do that next.
Okay.
All right.
We'll do that next. Manifest approval of $21,251.15 dated 9/3/21 and $240,293.19 dated September 30th.
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Did
Same with
we
the minutes.
move in second
I
on the
moved, I
minutes?
moved the minutes, and
Okay,
Bob
I'm
moved
sorry.
the second on
Seconded.
that.
Thank you.
You have a slow pen today?
Bob's gonna do the flag, right?
She can't do anything until she says the pledge of allegiance.
Oh, well, let's do that before we do facilities.
Thank you, Mr.
I'm upset
Thank
the
you,
apple
Mr.
cart
President.
already. Carol, you lead us, please.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Facility use, Old Town Hall, in Pine Grove, October 10th.
Move we approve that, second.
Discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Right, now we'll go to the agenda. Mark and Rose,
Thank you.
you're up.
Okay, well, everybody's aware we've had this problem for years with the same zip code between Portsmouth and Newington. But now it's exacerbated to the next level because stupid me, I named the road Hodgson Farm Lane, not knowing that there was a Hodgson Lane in Portsmouth, but it contained one house, across from Marshall's, Mall
That's
off of
correct.
Woodbury Avenue, just a one house on a dirt road.
I appraised that, I know that.
Okay, that was Miss Millie Lamoureux,
That's right.
and she's about 90 years old.
She's a nice
Yeah,
lady.
She is a
She
nice
was,
lady.
yeah.
yes, she
She
was.
calls herself Millie the bitch. Her words, not mine. So then Torrington Properties comes along and they want to build 250 apartments down at the old Frank Jones Center. And they build that and wanted to name it West End Yards, which I thought was kind of cool.
That's what I thought it was.
But the planning director, Julia Walker, whose last day was like a week ago, don't ask me why she left, decided it should be Hodgson, named after Hodgson Brook over there, which is spelled differently, but she convoluted the spelling, so it's the same name, same way as Hodgson Lane in Portsmouth and Hodgson
boy.
Farm Lane in Newington.
And Hodgson Way, of course,
Yeah, so
illegal.
The classic thing is that they're building 250 apartments. The first building is up with 118 apartments, and it's 35 Hodgson Way.
With this, with each unit named, individually
And
numbered.
we're 35 Hodgson Farm Lane. So
You're gonna get how many, I was just gonna say, how much mail are you gonna get?
this is what's come in the last 3 days, right?
Yeah.
All during there, and this is just the last 3 days we've been saving it. We send this stuff back all the time. And so I put up this,
May we see the sign, please?
I'll read it for you. Notice, you are in Newington. This is not 35 Hodgson Way, Portsmouth. Set your GPS to Kate Street, Portsmouth, New Hampshire, West End Yards Apartments. And so,
You're gonna put a sign up, that's good.
that's right on my mailbox.
It's there.
I saw that, I saw that.
For several weeks.
That stops half the mail. Well, the other half, we're getting Cardi's, we're getting Amazon, we're getting Bernie and Phil's
Yeah.
box trucks coming down my driveway trying to drop off furniture. And so,
We've had pizza delivery, we've had Instacart delivery, we've had people come looking for ice there was this car in the park in the driveway at 9:30 at night. And he was out there, lights on, just sitting, and I finally went out and I knocked on the window. He turned and looked at me, screamed and ran and drove away. But and I'm stupid me, I shouldn't have been out there at night. without,
Exactly.
you know,
And so now there's independent delivery people, they drop off a package,
The
and
party.
there's no place to take it to, because
It's just-
there's no, it's not UPS, it's not DHL, it's not Amazon, I don't know who the hell sent it. you know?
Right.
That's
So,
just,
yeah,
so,
I actually hand delivered a package over there because we don't know where it came from, we don't know who the carrier is.
Oh, you know, we tried to get the zip code.
I understood, and I went before the Dover, Portsmouth City Council, they give you 3 minutes to speak. August 1st, I was out there pleading my case when Juliet Walker was still on the planning board and said, you people have the power to change this now
Right,
before it
right.
becomes a major issue. And God forbid, old Millie Lamoureux, you know, puts in the call and you go to the wrong place, you're gonna have blood on your hands, that's what I said. Right? But it didn't matter a damn, you know, and the city manager, who is Karen, what's her name?
Kennard.
Lives 100 feet from this property on Kate Street. 100 feet away. So I'm thinking, we'll take all the stuff and redirect it to her. She can go distribute it, because why should we distribute it? I can't, you know.
I mean,
That's
we
federal,
refuse-
that's federal property right there. You
Well,
know that,
so how much of is my mail going to there?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
You can blame them for not paying your bills.
Right.
Well,
I mean, we send it back, you know, and the post office, I have to say, has been very, very good as long as we have our regular post
yeah.
Person,
person, right?
right.
Postal carrier. But, you know, someone's on vacation and we have a town come in and this is what happens.
So here's the rub. Wakefield, New Hampshire has got 3 zip codes and 3 post offices
Yeah, I know,
because of the railroad.
I
You
know.
know?
Yeah.
150 years ago was the railroad. They stopped at Union. They still got their own post office. There's 200 people in Union.
Yeah.
200.
I know.
That's it. They got their own post office zip code. Then there's Sanderville, that's downtown. Then there's
Yeah.
East Wakefield.
Yes, they do.
And so we reached out to Shaheen's office. They're just basically go-between with the post office and the post office, whomever that is, saying, well, we don't get any complaints from Newington, so we've never addressed it. Well, we need to find who to complain to, because nobody knows how do you complain to the government? It's you know, who's the person in charge?
And it is more than the postal service, you know? I mean, it's Amazon, it's
Yeah, so we
UPS, FedEx.
we found, if you put in 03805,
Mm-hmm,
it'll show up Newington, New Hampshire.
right,
And
because that's the old number they used for the heavy packages and stuff, is what they were doing with that originally.
well, Dennis Hebert said it was the servicemen living at base.
Mm-hmm,
Well, that was like the residential component, I
Right.
guess, of Pease, I think, is
Right.
what he said. So then they knew it was not official Air Force business, was the, servicemen, so.
mm-hmm.
But that's been laying dormant all these years, and so it's still a viable thing for Newington, so.
But
I
who,
don't-
who, excuse me, I'm sorry, who authorizes us to do the 05 if we do that? We have to go through the post office to do that?
They're the ones that would have to make the decision, but they won't act unless they hear complaints.
Or we've been, excuse me, Teddy, how many times have you met with so-and-so to get this
Yeah,
done?
we've met with the post office, with
Well,
the
who's the-
senators, congressman's
Yeah.
office.
But who's but they're telling me, the post office is telling them, there's no complaints.
We'd have to
So,
look back in the records.
you gotta find out
We can-
Who's in charge of that particular part of it?
And I noticed that you had emailed Michelle Cota at Senator Shaheen's asking that
Right.
Yeah.
very question, but we haven't received a
No.
response.
Right.
So we can send a letter out from the Board of Selectmen.
Absolutely. Because I just wanted you to know, Mark, we had
Complain-
addressed this
officially
before.
I know that, I know, yeah.
No, not that we haven't done that.
Oh, yeah.
We met with some people, I'll tell you. It's not that we haven't met with
Oh,
somebody.
good. 2 or 3 years we've been bouncing
Back and forth.
back and forth.
Yeah.
Martha, what is the current air base? Does anybody know what the current air base, the air guard base used for zip code?
Part of it is 03802.
That's the post office.
That's the post
Box-
office.
Boxes to the bottom.
Yeah, yeah.
Cause I know they get, and I don't know if they use Portsmouth, they should be using Newington, but they are in Newington, but I'll look into that.
And also, if I may, Mike, about, he proved the point with shipping something, or somebody else said that the 05 number, and it came to them.
I
So-
did that with Amazon and it came to me.
Right, so that's a simple fix if somebody would just say, hey, let's address the issue and do it.
You know,
I don't understand what
you
the
don't want
problem-
everybody doing that unless they approve it or whatever, because that could screw the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they're gonna change all the
Your
credit
office.
cards and all that stuff, it's, you know, so,
Yeah.
it's a big deal.
Yeah, I know.
We have dealt with this for 20 years because of the Hodgson Way over in
Yeah.
Portsmouth, and, you know, when you use Google Maps or any of the other mapping programs, it's always directing, you know,
To Portsmouth.
to Portsmouth.
Mike, you're,
And so now it's
you're
the
the
other
one
way
that
around,
followed it
now
up.
it's directing here.
You followed it up originally.
I know. I told you that, yeah.
It was the Hudson Farm too.
So I don't
So
know.
just to throw in there, Berwick zip code is 03805. Berwick, Maine.
Really?
03901 is Berwick.
I'm just looking up right now, it says 03805 is Berwick, Maine.
That's incorrect, because I'm in Berwick every day, I have a property in Berwick, I've had for 40 years, it's 03901.
And it's also saying Newington and Stratford County.
I know,
I think you got me to a new website there, buddy.
Hey, chief, you're following us up.
I know.
I hope that's not a town cell phone.
Shut the Wi-Fi off.
Whatever.
Maybe, I know we'll put this out and everything else, and I can't remember the word, but maybe we should encourage residents to mail the post office with copies to the senator and the congressman's office about, again, trying to get our own zip code of clarifying this.
Well, it used to be Durham, Lee, and Madbury had the same zip code as Durham, 03824. But Jean lives in Madbury, so she got it changed.
I know she did.
So why can't she do the same damn thing for us?
Good point. Good
Right.
point.
Lee got changed too.
Huh?
Lee got
Yes,
changed
exactly,
too.
right,
We have our own zip code now.
yeah. Because of her.
Maybe we just need
But
to
she
just
granted,
to
she
buy
made
a
it
house
happen.
down here in Shackford Way, and then she'll change it for us.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking about Wakefield, when I was doing appraisal work up there, Wakefield, every time I went and hit those numbers, and it was all over the
Oh, yeah.
place up there. What a nightmare that was. And banks are calling me all the time, why, you got the wrong zip code? No, I don't. So I know what you're saying.
Now, the only thing,
Well,
we'll give a call to the senator's office, see if
Yeah.
they set up an appointment, we haven't heard from them. And then from there, I would encourage, what an idea is that we encourage the people in town to write to the post office and everybody and tell them, ask for a new zip code, and put it in, and ask them to make it as a complaint, because of slow deliveries or whatever.
but we don't know who that person is or
See,
where
that's
they're
No,
located.
that's what we gotta work
We
on.
have to find out
Yeah.
where we need to complain.
Right,
That's
Yeah.
the key.
okay, we'll work on that.
I would think one of the senator's offices, or one of the people at the senator's office would know who we should talk to about it.
Well, maybe
And I
we
think
flood them
those-
with complaints.
That's what I'm thinking about, if we could do two ways, flood it with complaints, or flood it with a town-wide, petition, do something about it. Not that I wanna get anybody involved in it.
I know everyone in Hodgson Farm Lane would sign a petition.
Yeah,
I'll sign it,
Yeah.
they didn't like it the way it was doing it before.
Martha, your suggestion?
I think the sergeant major at the post office that originally turned us down, I
That's
can
right too,
contact
that's
her.
who that was, yes,
Okay,
Sergeant Major.
whatever the title was.
right,
Maybe they looked.
all right,
Well, thank you.
thank
Thank
you, and,
Thank you.
do we have to leave cookies in your mailbox?
Yeah, right.
I don't know, you wanna spend your time calling Amazon and letting them know?
No, thanks, Rose.
You don't wanna make those phone calls.
Cheryl lives like right across the street from me, and for the longest time, we were getting all Cheryl's packages. And my wife spoke to every GPS driver, and it just,
It's gotta be in their GPS, the GPS says
It
it's
is.
this house.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly,
Doesn't matter what
that's the
address
problem,
is.
no,
It's just-
yeah, you can't use your brain, you gotta use the GPS.
and it's not that we don't like
Thank you.
walking across the street, Cheryl at all, we do.
I've gotten
Thank
some
you.
things
Thank you.
like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, well, that, we always leave.
go on to new business, Halloween.
Halloween,
Eleanor Boy has a recommendation.
think, because the 30th falls on a Saturday this year.
Perfect day.
So I think that's the day most parents would want to.
I think Portsmouth is public.
They just did.
The 30th also, so
Oh,
that
yeah.
would, then I think that would.
Yeah, 5 to 7 on the 30th, I think
All right.
would be best.
You want us to make a motion to do
Please,
that?
yeah,
So moved.
Seconded.
discussion. Health officer appointment, I thought we did that.
You did a deputy health officer appointment, Patrick Moynihan, at your last meeting.
Right.
And I wish to delay the health officer appointment for the time being.
Okay.
All right,
Indefinitely, or?
Give me a few days.
All right. Give it
okay, proposed water monitoring wells, Welsh Cove Circle and Carter's Rock, that's,
The Air Force is requesting 2 new wells be installed to make sure they get the full gamut of water testing results. And you have a note in your packet from
Yep.
Warren Tierney of Wood Engineering about that.
I did talk to Mr. Woods, he was at my house about, what, a week, 10 days ago. And he says that's the only place that's kind of, an open spot where they can't kind of check what's going on. So he kind of gave me a heads up that if they could do that, it's gonna more or less give them a better perimeter view of what's going on with all of that over there, so. I thought it would be a good thing to do, I think it's a good idea, personally.
is that a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Can we notify the residents, that that's gonna happen before we,
Sure.
Absolutely.
I'd
Good
second
idea.
that.
Good idea.
I think that's gonna be a town lane, right, Martha?
Right.
We should still notify the
Yeah,
residents,
Absolutely,
so
no,
that,
I agree with you, I'm not
Right.
saying we should, but I agree with you.
Okay, the made motion seconded with the approval with a notification to the residents. All in
Right.
favor?
aye,
Juneteenth holiday from the police department. I believe we discussed that at the fire union.
we did. And I believe where we left it was, chief, correct me when I go off course here, we told the firefighters that we were more than willing to celebrate Juneteenth with them, but we asked them which holiday they were gonna give up in return. So, my feeling is, anybody that wants Juneteenth, and chief, if any of your men come to you and say, I want Juneteenth off, then just say, okay, which one are you gonna swap for? So if they wanna give up Christmas, or if they wanna give up Thanksgiving or Veterans Day, then swap them. So if that holiday works for them better or more convenient, then let them celebrate it. That's my
Is that a
thought.
motion?
I'd make the motion that we do what I just said.
Yes. And Eleanor's got it all capsulated.
Oh, yes.
So good.
And I'll second what you just said.
Okay, all right, all those in favor?
I,
Opposed? Okay,
It'll be up to the chief to determine what they wanna do with the men, right?
oh yeah. A video recording survey.
The selectmen have received 48 responses, 42 in favor of recording and 6 opposed.
It's kind of been an informal policy up to now. I think I think the selectmen should go on record in favor of this and notify all boards, whether it be school board, fire, police, library, rec, whatever, planning board, HDC, conservation, all of them, that this would be implemented as within a reasonable time frame. And if the iPad or whatever you're using to record is in the town hall, they should come and pick it up. And if they need instruction how to do it, they should stop, because we don't have any money in the budget to do that.
if we're gonna video one, we're gonna video all,
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
and, I just lost my train of thought.
That's all right, we get that once in a while at our age.
I'm getting younger than you.
I know you are, but it's not
I
really
had
something.
two thoughts. One is we video them all, but, secondly, we should have a standard operating procedure. I don't know what you wanna call it, a guidance or something, that we should come up with, of outline, or maybe a policy letter that just outlines how we'll implement video recording and what they're to do with it once they record it. Because I know there's been several meetings that were recorded that the video never showed up anywhere. So, we need to have some standard operating procedure on how we're gonna do this, if we're gonna do it at all. And where are we gonna store it?
Okay, great. We currently just upload it to YouTube and then delete it, sort of similar to our recordings, you know, they get deleted once they're used. Except for budget committee, I keep budget committee recordings on my computer, just the audio.
But they
So
aren't
didn't we-
deleted off of YouTube, you're just.
I'm sorry,
you're
yeah,
uploading
video,
them.
right, video we've uploaded to YouTube and then delete.
Didn't you get didn't you request something from Attorney Radigan or something on, how
Right.
long we have to keep them and like that or whatever, wasn't it?
Right, he said that we're fine to delete them,
Yeah,
I think he said once the minutes are published,
yeah,
then the
there was,
video can be deleted, so that should be in our,
yeah, it should be
standard
part of it,
operating
yeah,
procedure.
so in case there's any legal
Because
action down the road, we'll have
the
that.
printed minutes are the legal document by state law.
thanks.
Okay, that's motion made, is there a motion?
No,
No,
hold on,
Not yet,
no motion yet.
we need a motion?
Motion to
so moved,
direct Martha to write some draft SOPs.
right, I'll make the motion, we do that.
Seconded?
Further discussion?
A little discussion on it, I think that we should keep the minutes open, the videos a little bit longer. We do have the crypto cloud, we keep everything for all of our town records in, which is safe, as far as we know. But I know the attorney said we don't have to keep it forever, which is okay too. But if there's any question about what had been said at one of the meetings and we can't go back to it, because all we have is the written part, if the written part doesn't coincide with what was said by the person or individual in front of the camera, it could get a little sticky. I'm trying to keep us out of a lawsuit here, that's what I'm thinking, so. I got some reservations with it, but I will support it if the other two gentlemen think that that's the way we should go.
I think we start playing games with time limits and like that, and we don't get rid of it, we could be in all kinds of trouble that way too.
Right, I
And
understand that.
Well,
It's
what
two
you're
sides.
saying, Mike, I appreciate that, but I think that, I would think that,
I would think that
30
the
days
minutes.
after the minutes are published or something like that.
Okay, that's fair, 30 days is fine,
I think usually the minutes are printed
within a period of
for
time.
reading a period of time.
Right.
But I'm sure that somebody's gonna save a copy and it'll pop back up.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Always.
yeah.
Okay, that's fine, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
30 days?
Yeah, that's fine. You wanna amend that for that?
30 days, I just
Yeah,
have to let the board know that we're struggling with 2 iPads right now. For example, tonight, we have a planning board
mm-hmm,
and a board of selectmen meeting, and they are, they get pretty full pretty
real
quick.
fast, we talked about that, you and I did, yes.
So there'll just be some training time, we'll have to learn how to upload those to the town computer, I
Right.
guess, and then delete them.
Well, like Bob said, we've gotta train also some of the people who are gonna be doing this on these committees, cause
Right.
we do not have the funds to hire people to do this, so they're gonna have to be trained to be able to do this. The other night at the planning board meeting, I didn't know if the machine was on or not, cause I'm not that familiar with it, and I think we missed some of it because of that.
No,
And
the memory was full.
the memory was full, that's what it was, yeah. So and you said call me anytime, and I understand that we should have to call you for everything. The fact of the matter is, we gotta have a little more training involved in that, so I think Bob was right on that part of it.
How about check with our computer guy and see if we can upgrade the memory to
That's a good
for
idea.
them? That way, we don't run into this lack of memory problem again.
Yeah.
And how much would a new 1 or 2 more iPads
It's not
cost?
that expensive, you can get them rebuilt
No,
one,
I'm
reason.
fine.
500
Mhm.
for a new
So
one?
look into this part of it and see what we can do to increase the memory or look at iPads or whatever would be the most value.
Right,
You know, let's not do this,
all right.
everybody running around cuckoo,
Okay.
all
We'll report back.
All right?
Do you wanna
Gonna vote on that, Ellen?
You need to vote on that, Eleanor?
You voted on it, and then you just talked about, I think you were talking, I interpreted it as suggestions for the SOP that
Right.
Martha was gonna
Right.
write.
Okay, we'll leave it
wasn't-
at that, that's fine,
It wasn't part of the
Okay.
motion.
that's fine.
All right. Next is the old parsonage.
The board has in their packet a letter from the DHR approving the $20,000 to be used for HVAC connections at the old parsonage.
Is that place insulated?
No.
So we're gonna air condition a non-insulated building, and then we're gonna wind up dehumidifying it as well? Because if we don't, we're gonna ruin that horsehair plaster in there. Who's our, HVAC guy, is that,
Hart's the one who gave the quote,
Hart?
right?
And Monarch Electric was going to
Yeah.
do the electrical.
can we get an opinion from, the HVAC guy as to whether putting HVAC into it, or air conditioning into a uninsulated building
Why
is
don't,
gonna cause water problems in there?
why don't we table this then until we get the information back?
Yeah.
Is that all right with you, Bob?
It is.
Okay, let's table it until we get the information back. I agree with you, by the way.
I mean, I was in there for the first time for that history meeting, and it's a beautiful building. I'd hate to see us cause damage to it by,
Absolutely.
Stupidity. Okay,
We table it till a certain time.
all right. Anything else, Martha?
We do, so the budget committee did bring up a couple of points the other night, one of which was the Fox Point rental, and I looked up the rental agreement. That went on a month-to-month lease as of May. So I didn't know what the board wanted to do. It's not on the agenda. You certainly don't have to act on it. I just wanted to bring it to your attention because the budget committee discussed it. So, however you wanna.
Well, if I may, Mr. Chairman, under this COVID, for 18 months, we really couldn't do much with tenants involved with anything, so we kind of let it sit there for a while until after this COVID issue was kind of resolved somewhat. The tenant's been paying his rent, it's not been a problem, so and it's a tenant at will, as far as I know, we don't believe we have any other way, right? So, I think unless there's a problem between the parties, I think you just let it sit there. What's your
The
opinion?
tenants are the next, I mean, a week or two ago, we had the fest down there. Had to need a field done. Our guys couldn't get to it. The tenant went out and mowed the whole field the night before the fireworks, so that they could put the fireworks show.
And early morning too, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, he's a good tenant.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we want to discuss it at a work session?
Yeah, why don't we do it that way?
Yeah. put
Delay
that-
it to work session.
And the other thing the budget committee brought up was over expenditure requests of the
Right.
Board of Selectmen. We have some of those in-house, I have them from the police department, but I need some of the other departments, so I'll be planning to send out a memo reminding everyone about that.
Absolutely.
Great,
Right.
thank you. Appointment?
And we have Cheryl Bagley here, but we have 3 minutes before our
Yeah.
cemetery meeting, so possibly she can give you a quarterly update
Oh,
once
thank
the
you.
budgets are here.
Yeah,
Great.
okay. Have the floor,
She's
Keith.
planning to stay for the budgets anyway, so
Okay, so after,
cemeteries, yeah.
okay, yes, absolutely.
Oh, we're ready, 5 o'clock, we'll do, everybody here from the cemetery?
We're waiting for cars might be in the sewer.
Well, let me get the,
You gonna come?
He's coming, yes, he is coming, but I don't know if he'll get here on
do
time.
you wanna wait till 5, or do you wanna start 2 minutes early? Your call. We're ready to roll.
Basically, it's the same as last year, except we added back in $200 on that care of trees
Okay.
item. Put that 200 back in. There's a budget in there for
20 hours for part-time work, and that information has to be changed.
That has to be if they need
The hour,
things like,
because it's no longer 100 or 150 hours,
yes,
it's 20 hours.
just 20 hours. It's like if they need, if we need help at the private cemeteries and things that we're doing, we call on hi Dennis, we call on them to, somebody to come to assist us. We might need another hand
Okay.
because we don't have a sexton.
Well, John Fink was sexton, then he wasn't, and now he thinks he might be again.
No, he isn't.
Well,
He said he wasn't, so.
You work out your own internal problem.
Please.
Right. But other than that, everything else is fine?
and the other edit would be on that last line, the monument maintenance is cleaning in 2022, rather cleaning in 2020.
That's fine, I don't have any problem with it.
Would any of you Board of Selectmen like to be our sexton?
Yeah. We get a little free time up here.
Just like I have.
Well, Kay's going by there every hour, anyhow, he can do it for you.
Yeah. Any questions by
No,
Selectmen?
I'm fine with it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that it?
That's
Okay.
it.
I brought all,
Get your blessing.
oh,
when
but
you
can I say
go.
something to Selectman Flanagan? Can I tell? I want to thank you again, we all, our trustees. You can't imagine the holders that you gave us, how well our flags have stayed.
Good.
And that is very helpful. We don't need to buy any flags this year.
Really?
I will tell you, we're members of the York VFW, and we get a lot of good ideas from them. They have a very active veterans group. So when my wife found out that we didn't have those veteran markers, she said, I know what I'm doing with your selectmen money. And
Tell her
that's what
thank
she
you.
did. So if you need more, please let us know.
Oh, we will, thank you.
And one other thing,
I would
we're all,
like to
Just do it.
present a proposed warrant article. I've been in talks with Jen Mosty, the trustee of the trust funds, and she and Linda Wakefield.
Yes, Linda,
Yeah.
oh,
They found some general care funds which add up to about $96,000
yeah.
Yeah,
and it's not for perpetual care. So,
are you proposing to change it, put it somewhere, or?
right, wanting to convert it from a trust fund to a capital reserve fund. And apparently this.
And you
kind
already
of
touched
mon-
the interest, right? You already touched the interest on that, right?
that is the interest.
That is the interest.
Right. In
Mhm.
1977, according to John Lamson, they started to put the proceeds from sales of plots into
Into
the
their-
trust fund.
Mm.
And it's just been sitting there
And sitting with
accumulating
him.
interest. So right now, it has about $10,000 of interest, and the principal is whatever, 80 something. So once that comes over, and as an expendable, I don't know, it's either a capital reserve fund or an expendable trust fund. I don't know the difference between them, but both of them are expendable by the Board of Selectmen or the cemetery trustees. So we could use that to pay for the grub treatment.
And we could take it right out of there, and we wouldn't have to be putting it into our budget.
Right.
Right.
That was the state money.
And then I was getting guidance from her how to prorate all those 93 little perpetual care funds. You have to find out how many plots there are total, how many plots there are under perpetual care, and then how much each one should be paying according to how much they, how much in the
And it
budget.
certainly saves the taxpayers if, as we watch it, this is good.
And once we get that formula set up, then it should work every year.
And we'll let you know all about
Right,
it.
and that would be for only for maintenance, anything that's not for any capital improvement.
Yeah, That really, it's amazing what our Jen Mulstay, who's our trustee of the trust fund, the knowledgeability of her background and how she had got us Linda, who they know all with cemeteries and monies and stuff. And they gave us an education, but here's the man that knows Excel, not me.
Yeah.
I was right. So we're very fortunate to have Alan on the cemetery trustees. So, that's all.
Yep, and Peggy knows where the bodies are buried.
That's right.
Okay, thank you, and please convey this cause, we missed him.
Take care, guys. Thank you
Yeah,
very
thank
much.
you.
Hi, Miss Eleanor, how are you?
So the language in that is just what I came up with, because there were some examples from other
Yeah, I
towns.
mean, if you wanna change your
And
set,
they were doing it as an expendable trust fund. But I changed it into a capital reserve fund, I don't know
okay,
the best way to do it is.
you can.
I think we should confer with the budget committee, and then we'll run it through legal and make sure we write
Yeah,
it.
definitely.
Way
Yeah,
down,
right.
make sure that, cause I was also surprised at the budget the other night at how many little that all added up to a big, and
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
No.
that's really money that
I was
the
surprised.
town cannot use for
Yeah.
maintenance up there.
That's right, with the maintenance, exactly.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very
Thank
much.
you, have a good evening. Next, we got the sewer, Skip and Dennis.
The Skip and Dennis show.
Hey, mind if I move up there, cause I can't hear.
Please, come closer. Bring Skip with you, because he doesn't hear too well either.
No, they're gonna leave it to me.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Hello, I'm Dennis, so the new guy.
Oh,
Bob,
Hi,
Bob
Bob.
Bob
Nice to meet
Flanagan,
you.
Dennis Messier.
Okay?
Nice to meet you.
He's the Art Carney of New England.
I heard that one before.
Not for years though.
So,
You're
want
on
to go line by line? I mean, the commission stipend stayed the same until, it's calculated for, cost, whatever you call it.
Cost of living.
Yeah, right now it's about 4.3%, but I'll let you figure that out, inflation. There is increase to the operations contract.
Which is one, excuse me.
And then there's some testing increase that you'll see in those line items.
Yeah.
As of today, we got a new general permit where we have to test the sludge, the effluent, and the influent for PFOAs twice a year. And that test cannot be done, can send it to a local lab, but it'll have to be sent out. It can't be collected in plastic containers, so there's a whole different protocol.
Glass,
Teflon.
okay.
So that's an increase. We also have a new nitrogen permit that was in effect last year, and there is substantial testing out in the bay. We are in with the intermunicipal group with all the plants that discharge into the bay
Yeah,
to help share that cost. So there is some testing costs there.
but you got that included, or is that?
That's all included in here.
It's $2,000 for the testing, I see it right here, yeah. Third one from the bottom,
Yeah, I have it.
page one, nitrogen.
Yeah, well, that's 2,000 for nitrogen, then if you look at testing fees, 50,000, they went up from 30,000 to 50. The rest are, the commission at the 15th of September meeting dropped some engineering costs, and
I see that.
sludge cost has gone up because trucking cost for that has gone up. Back to the budget for the company that I work for, chemical costs have gone up, all chemicals about 5-6%. Again, can be attributed to trucking costs, and supply chain. So that right now, I have a 55-gallon drums kicking around just in case a delivery can't be delivered. So we're about 250,000 over from last year.
How's this gonna affect the rate of the users? 'Cause that's gonna be the question we're gonna get at the budget committee, so I
Yeah,
thought I'd ask
I've
you
already
that.
been accumulating some of the, it's not gonna make it go down.
I didn't think so.
Yeah. I did call the city of Portsmouth to get, water readings as of the end of last week, last month. And then I should be able to calculate some, just to get an idea, because the more flow we get into the plant, it helps lower the rate on the
Correct.
other end.
Correct. So expansion in town would be helpful.
Correct. We have the same issues that you guys have. As you get decreased property values, your tax rate goes up. As I get decreased flow, the flows for the sewer charges go up. So, I'm hoping that with the mall, after the pandemic, got some uptick in flows. Tycom, some industries, so we're hoping that that helps offset it. Last year, when I calculated the rate, it was extremely excessive, to the point where it could have been $36 per hundred cubic feet of water. They put $250 in to reduce that and brought it down to 27. That's about 20%. So I'm hoping that the budget, because I may just show them the 20%. A 5% reduction isn't, it's gonna be nominal, it's just not gonna matter.
I had forwarded to Dennis the budget committee carryover items.
Right.
You'll recall
Yeah.
the
Good.
list
Yeah.
of,
Good,
I mean,
thank you for that, Mark.
And I'll be honest, they wanna look at our contract.
Mhm.
I have to send that to legal for our company. I don't know if that's a public document or not.
if the commissioners signed it, it becomes public,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, they may still run it, not that I don't trust you.
Yeah.
I believe you to
Not
be
an
correct,
attorney.
but,
Right,
and that contract goes to the year 2025.
But you wanna be sure about it too.
Yeah,
Your contract with the company now is through 25.
correct.
Yeah, right.
Cause I have heard from residents that live in either, Patterson Lane or, the other one there, and
Shattuck Way.
they're not happy about
Correct.
their rate.
I get that from individual users, I also get the phone calls from large users. No one's happy about it, but the EPA mandated that we upgrade the plant for nitrogen. That comes with a cost, and we've paid 3 payments out of 20 for that. We got a second check for a state aid grant to the tune of 67,000. And then this year, we're also paying on the force main that had to be replaced because we had 3 leaks. We have applied for a state aid grant for that.
You made it.
So, that's, I mean, I can tell you, when we get the contract issue, that some of the costs that's in that $500,000 or less for our contract is direct labor, overtime, federal, all those sort of things, all the chemicals, umbrella insurance, training, uniforms, computer and hardware, office supplies, cellular phones, process chemical, power expenses, laboratory analysis, natural gas, water from the city of Portsmouth, and vehicle for the fuse, and the generators. Our generators need to be operational twice a year. There's a major PM and a minor PM. If that was not to start up, if an event happened, and we polluted the water,
Ooh.
they would not be happy. So. Question.
How are you finding the flow this year compared to last year?
I called the city of Portsmouth.
Portsmouth, you're waiting
I was
for
on
that.
vacation last week, so,
Yeah.
and it wasn't in my email.
Yeah.
They're extremely busy with their budget cycle, so I'll have a better idea by when the budget, when I get you that information for the budget committee.
Can you give us a list somewhere what the cost is in Newington, Portsmouth, Dover, for,
Rochester.
I
And
will
you've done that
add one
in the
other
past.
caveat, users. We have 70+ users.
oh, I understand.
Yeah, I know you understand, but somebody else is
Right.
going to understand.
Yeah.
Portsmouth can spread those costs out amongst 7,000,
Right.
1,000. I know if you look at your water bill, that Portsmouth just raised their rates. Or Skip brought one, I think they raised their rates, because they're starting to pay on their construction of their,
I would think so.
on the
Yeah,
pier
I'm
side.
I'm just gonna ask you that.
And also, if you look at your water bill on the back, a large user in the city of Portsmouth pays more than a low amount user. Anything over 10 units, they pay a higher rate. I'll have that in that
They're gonna say,
equation.
could you get that up so we have a sheet,
Yep.
so that we, for
Yep.
discussion purposes,
Not a problem.
okay?
Plus, if they're gonna run a new water line through the town, what they're talking about, that's gonna have to be built into a cost in the future as well, so this thing is, I don't see it going any other way but up, there's no other way it can go. I know City of Portsmouth hasn't really got to really taxing the people what they gotta be taxed for, it's gonna come.
Yeah, they all, city of Dover, they replace lines.
Oh, yeah.
Summersworth, we have a upgraded treatment plant that they're gonna have to pay for.
Mhm.
So, and they're 15, so you can assume their cost is gonna be $1 million a year.
I would think so.
But I'll get that for you,
Good, thank you.
okay?
Thank you,
Any other
Dan.
questions?
No.
Thank
Can
you
I
very
understand-
much.
Can I
Thank you.
add something?
Pardon?
Can I add something?
Please.
When we did our upgrade in the plant, the other towns in the area were trying to sue the EPA. We did not participate with that. We just went ahead and did our upgrades.
Right.
Okay,
They did
that's good
nothing.
to know, I didn't
Nothing
know that.
happened
Okay,
with the EPA. They just said, it is what it is, you do it. So,
No, you guys have been very progressive on that, very safety conscious and.
right.
And, just so you know, that nitrogen limit, we were limited to like 15 pounds a week. Last week was 1.2, so we're considerably below what, and we were designed for 5, so. Not to pat myself on the back, but we all do a good job, so. Okay?
We appreciate that.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you. Good to see you, Dennis.
You do.
I don't care what Skip says about you, you're all right.
What's that?
I said, I don't care what Skip says about you, you're all right.
Oh, I don't worry about that crap. Politics too long, so. What's that?
Thank you, Dennis.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And the library's next.
No, they're not here, I don't think. Thank you, Rick.
thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Absolutely. We'll get you.
Thank you, Skip.
Yeah, Skipper. You get through?
I gotta find my way out.
Can you take a break?
We have Cheryl here if you wanted to
Yeah.
get the
No?
Yeah,
Third
that-
quarter budget
That's
review?
good with you, Cheryl, thank you.
Cheryl, I talked to Martha today, and I said that I think that your expertise is exactly what the budget committee was asking for the other night.
Yep.
In some of the quarterly updates and projections.
Okay, I was trying to understand what they were asking for. It would be helpful for them to spell it out and see what we can put together.
Sometimes it's difficult, they ask questions and we're not sure which way it's going.
There were some things that I was not able to follow.
Understandable, understandable.
So, this month, just before the first budget committee meeting last week, I took a look at the expenses, so I'm using the expenditures that we use for the budget committee as of 9/22. I wanted to put together for me, this was just a quick job aid or a schedule,
Yeah.
a scorecard of a snapshot of where the expenditures are
Yeah.
for the town of Newington. So, if I take just start with the highlights, the notes, a couple of observations that I found as I was looking through the numbers. Just basically, to begin with, our expenditures through September 22nd are 4.45 million, versus our current year budget of 7.2 million.
Okay.
So when we look at a current percent expected, we're running about 38%.
Okay.
For September,
7.5.
you would expect 25% remaining, so we're under our target,
Oh, good.
so that's good.
Yes, that's always good.
There are 7 departments that are under the 25% goal expected that we would see at year to date. And
Okay.
I've highlighted those 7 in
Yeah, see
in the
that, that's
table
good.
right underneath there.
Thank you.
The one I wanted to speak about a little bit, because of course Martha and Eleanor and I are in executive offices, is that one sticks out a little bit. It's about 20%, 22% of the budget is remaining. This overage is primarily due to salaries. Our salary line is a little higher than expected at this point. That's due to some unplanned salary that we had, a resource that's doing research on grants and COVID, and also did testify for us from the donor town.
Right.
And so he was engaged in that, and that was salaries that were
Right.
a little additional above plan. Also reflected in the training expenses was the double finance director in May. We had a training period.
Yes, we did.
Yes, which was,
Overlap,
I
yeah,
very much appreciate that.
absolutely.
So we had the advantage of having Cindy here for an extra month.
Mhm.
So I feel like those two pieces will not be continuing for the rest of the year, and we may be in better shape. We may come back up closer to the expected goal when we get to the year. We're still watching it. I believe, it's gonna be right on the line. We have budget work to do.
Well, at least you're keeping an eye on it, not letting it get out of control. That's good, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, we knew there was gonna be an overlap because we had to have,
Mhm.
in between assignments, we have to do to help each other, absolutely.
So that's, so we're, looking to see salaries maybe level out by the end of the year, given the impact of the budget.
Mhm.
So what it will take for the
The
budget.
only other question, if I may, Martha, where some of this is COVID related, are we gonna get any more funds for COVID, or are we tapped out to COVID from the feds, do you know?
We have a $12,000 grant that we're waiting to hear on through FEMA.
Oh, that might help a little bit, right? Okay, that's what I thought there was another one hanging out there, but I didn't remember. Okay, thank you.
And where would that go?
Those revenues would come into the town and be applied. Well, Cheryl, correct me if I'm wrong. Would the funds from FEMA, the 12,000, be applied to offset our COVID lines?
They would
or-
be in the revenue, an unplanned
Thank you.
revenue. Or unless you had them budgeted, they would be in the revenue budget. Yes, they don't net
Yeah.
the account.
So that would be a gift for us if we could get that, that would be helpful.
So what do we continue to spend money on COVID related that we'd be getting reimbursed from the government
That's a
for?
good question.
I think most of the expenses are done, although I want to say I saw a fire department revenue or deposit come in, but maybe that was for the rest of the COVID vaccine money?
That was a while
or-
ago, that was probably a month ago.
I thought I saw a deposit with COVID on it from fire. But most of the items are, in-house, are done.
Yeah. At this point,
Masks.
but we don't know if this continues, this ratchets up again or something, there may be some more hidden costs that we might have to go after, so
Where are
that is
we,
explainable to my mind if the budget committee gets a little touchy with this.
where are we on air purifiers for the public buildings or, what, they weren't purifiers, what were they? Ionizers or
Right.
something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to assign that to the new building inspector.
So as soon as
Okay.
it comes in.
And do we have money budgeted for that?
We have the funds that will come in from one of the grants for that purpose. The actually, it's the $85,000, of which you've received $42,000
Okay,
this year already.
yeah, that's the one I was thinking of, when I said there was another one, I couldn't remember what it was, okay, that's what that is, all right.
Yeah, I wanna make sure that those monies
So we
go
still got some money
towards
coming in.
Yes.
COVID-related things. You know, if we get 80,000, that we're spending 80,000 on COVID-related things, like in our public buildings where our employees work.
Exactly, I agree with that.
So the next item in my notes was just a quick recap of the details. And I think this was settled in July. There's really been no change on the fire department details. I checked the COVID expenses, the account. The wages for COVID details stayed the same at 92.5, and we've billed 118,000. So that's pretty, a positive variance. And then this was voted on by the board back in July to accept the
Correct.
unanticipated revenue.
Right.
I wanted to highlight the insurance expenditures,
Mm-hmm.
because it does look as if we have, we're below where we would expect to be for our remaining percentage. However, insurance you typically pay at the beginning of the year, so it's not straight line throughout the year.
Okay.
The second note is that, in addition to an earlier premium holiday that we received at the beginning of the year,
Mm-hmm.
we received an additional $78,000 premium holiday
From the insurance
just last
company.
month, from
Okay.
workers' comp, from the workers' comp and
We
property.
weren't expecting that, were we, Martha?
No,
No,
Oh,
Okay, that's good, that's
Yeah.
good news.
that was great news.
So we've been doing some good things in this town for people who don't pay attention. We've been doing a lot of good things here. Thank
so
you.
that's also in the unanticipated revenue line.
Okay.
right.
So your insurance expense will look the same, but
Mhm.
you have this
Right.
unanticipated revenue. I have a note, just a little note, vote, yes or no, question mark, and that's just to the board. Finally, I wanted to talk about the recreation committee, because that was an unusual situation this year where we took it in-house. YMCA did not run the camp. Total summer program expenditure was 36.8, so 37,000 that we expended to date on the recreation committee. And the town employed 6 local employees for a total of 28,000 in salaries.
Mhm.
I believe the recommendation for next year, if we continue this same process, is to hire a more senior supervisor over that crew. I think we were pretty lucky.
Yeah, thanks to these ladies, we escaped the bullet.
Yeah,
So just so I get it, that's a total of about $64,000 that we spent between wages and the summer program?
The whole, I think I have it down in the back in the bottom.
I'm just adding up that
I
36
think it
and
was
the
50, it was
28.
50. 50, I think it was 42.9 total for the recreation program.
42
It was 14.6 for other activities, and then 28,000 for salaries and wages.
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
But we took in revenue too to offset
Yes,
that,
there
Yes,
is
we
revenue.
did.
the fees.
Like we do
Yeah,
every
we did.
year.
Right.
Yep, so that's the highlight. I pointed out in the first schedule, this is kind of a snapshot, the 7 departments that are under where we would expect them to be by, under 25%. And then the last table in this is just a scorecard.
Okay.
Sometimes, for me, it's easier to see department budget actual variance
Mhm.
rather than going through all of the detail.
Right.
So it's just a roll up by department.
Very nicely done, thank you.
So I put this together as I was kind of running through the numbers and manipulating them. Feedback, I appreciate. If there is information that would be more helpful that you would like to see, send me a note. If you have examples that you'd like to utilize.
This is for us to keep, to look over so we can
Yes.
kind of get familiar with it. Yeah,
Yes.
so when we go through the budget again, we want to be able to keep it in our mind. Thank you,
So
Cheryl.
I see it as a
Excellent.
prototype, so feel free to
That's great.
make changes.
Thank you, that'll be helpful. Thank you for that.
Thank you, very nice, very complex. It'll take a little while for me to digest it all.
Keep reading glasses on.
Okay.
So that'll answer some questions that were brought up. Thank you for that.
Okay.
So we can take a 5-minute break so Mike can go to the gentleman's room. Mr. Chairman?
Call a recess and for 5
Thank you.
minutes, until what time?
5:40.
40,
Yeah.
Hey, Jack.
okay? How much is the library?
Behind me.
It took about an hour, we had them all.
Take a walk.
Yeah, this place is this way.
Taking the
I
kids
think this is one.
to usually.
I mean, it goes into the bottom
Yeah.
line, right?
Right,
And,
it is.
Huh?
Right. It's all the hidden stuff, and, our time and all of that and all.
Oh, yeah.
The first
Yeah,
couple
you
days
know,
in there,
it
then they
wasn't-
had big wrap around it. And they took out just one of your stitches, be out next week.
I think we're still gonna
Is it both hands or just
Just
one?
one couple. Got one and a half years.
She has COVID.
One that he drives
So
the
she
library.
highlights anything in there that's,
I finally had it.
if it is, and it hasn't been for quite a while,
But the
I don't think
insurance
it's this
company,
whole
first they
year.
had to do was go to therapy.
Yeah, that I did,
Thank you.
you saw, it. Yeah,
Exactly.
you saw it somewhere, and I was
With
like,
EMG with a.
because every time, because every time, right, because everything
And
was
then
on
they
the
found
phone,
out,
I see
okay,
that, and I'm
it's
like, oh my God,
Sarah.
COVID,
I
and then
told
it's like, oh no,
her
she hasn't highlighted anything, I don't think she's done anything over there, even though it's getting asked,
They get to know them pretty well.
they
You
can
got your
rectify,
muscle
right,
weight.
they will identify them.
Cortisone.
I don't know, that's a good question, I wouldn't bring it up publicly, but I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know,
We're on the waiting list for another one.
yeah,
Yeah, I ran a Bill Murray today.
well, that's right,
Sixty-five,
because
so
we
what
have,
they happen
yeah.
to hit 65. It's like the warranty when you, yeah.
Everybody benefits on the
He's up to all his shorts and his t-shirts. I said, when you're 65, it's like the warranty expires on your car. Everything has to break.
Piece by piece by piece.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so tough.
Yeah, so the tingle figure.
Well, and the brewery can't even process all of their
Right.
wastewater because it, I don't know what it takes, alcohol. So they have to bring it somewhere special.
How's things in the lake?
She and my son are living in Durham at my parents' house. Yeah. No, thank God. No, they just moved back from California a year ago, and they're living in the apartment above the garage at my parents' house, and my son is in the house. He's actually buying the house. Yeah, yeah, it's really nice to still have it in the family. Well, yeah, any home.
Thank you, Ellen.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
She's, she gets the same.
They turn- Based on the
I'm betting $1,000.
a lot on your mind, of this on it.
I'm not fond of the word.
Yeah, I think I better understand that now.
But they've asked to go with the Thursday, last shortly. The virus infected, went hot, and now he's breathing with that. His kidneys are shutting down, he's 27.
I saw the conversation that was just with the one with the uncle. Because it is all real now, so I'll remember what you
And he was in the
People still in the island, it's crazy. That's where we've been all week.
That's what I just said, yeah.
I'm like,
Should I
but
tell
see, he's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
He's always thinking of what he's gonna say. No, here, he doesn't know.
Marconi?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just call him Brandon.
Church. You and I got out there that morning.
I always ask him to say,
Yeah, exactly.
just do it for us.
800.
We gotta do something.
Because we always think you're gonna
Yeah.
write your
I appreciate, which picture?
Right.
Yeah.
I always.
Very devout.
Oh, yeah. nothing's highlighted, I don't have to worry. That's, I know, as soon as you said it, I was like,
Yeah.
You see what they said now, I told you, I can't even read these invoices. Did you get the reply?
Or there's no impact, it's in the packet.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's why you haven't seen me around much. Too much, but that's okay.
Oh, yeah.
Good Lord only gives what you can handle.
That's what they say.
And I got all
No,
that.
what the hell, I mean,
But
church up to get them here.
Want me to go look? Get in my car and go
Henry's
look?
heard
Go corral them up.
Everything go well, Jack?
They're all up, they're all at the
Everything
library.
go well?
Who
Is
by,
there a brand
Yeah.
that's in the
They
hospital?
took the stair to a little patio, they ripped something off while they were at it. Get the stitches out for the class.
I don't know, yeah, that's 8 o'clock.
That feeling?
It's still getting a tingle, but it's getting, it takes weeks, 2 weeks.
Right.
But thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How long were you in?
This
Listen,
boy
I
had
shut it
to-
off yesterday.
That all? Really?
But he was running
And then I
late, so
turned
the
it back
kitchen, they
on.
kept rolling.
When the guy hit the home
TVs,
run, I turned it back on.
Lydia and knock you out, you know, no time.
Somebody.
In fact, I walked all the way out, I didn't have to, tell somebody to take you in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
I said, you wanna walk? I said, "Yeah." They won't let you drive yourself home. I said,
This is before we won it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sit next to Jack.
Oh, there's a seat right there. That was before we won.
If you'd like to be in the meeting at the
Oh,
yeah.
right.
Bring anything for the library?
Yeah.
How are you? That's when I.
Oh, there it is.
Well,
Someplace right after that. You got it?
between the two of us, you know.
I like Wilson's idea on the cemetery, we're gonna get money out of that.
Yeah.
I like the trust.
Oh, yeah.
Now it's a lot more.
Oh, money.
We've actually
Oh,
done
God,
some-
we said.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the center is it not, but
They
it's
should
still
go.
got the tingle.
That was your first meeting, there's a, there's a best way to.
Yes.
Little nervous, but.
Yes.
How are you?
Martha answered all the questions they had.
Rick's gonna make that. I've been drafting one section.
Makes no sense.
Oh, you're
Then you can't answer everything, and I tell
Well,
them.
you and Jack are the only two coming?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, one's at the town, one's got kids, one's planning board.
And I tell people, you.
Okay, can we start?
Yeah, yeah, you're ready, we're ready.
Okay. I will call the meeting back to order at 5:36 and we'll do the library.
Thank you.
Welcome, folks.
All right, so I guess I'll get started. So I believe that you all have this sheet that I gave, yes, perfect, thank you. And then as of today, I can add one more.
There'll be 3 sheets to the wind then, right, Laura?
Right? Let
Not
me
yet,
see.
Mike.
Not
Do
yet.
I think I have exactly 6, so that works out really well. Okay, so, these
Pass them
are,
down.
oh, okay,
I'll pass it down.
all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
So, those, as the sheet that you already have is the comparison that I do every year after we get the New Hampshire Public Library statistics back. And
That's that one.
I think, Ted and Mike are familiar with,
This is the one?
yes, yep, with my approach. What I've done the first couple of years, when I did these comparisons was I did the similar size towns, like the population comparisons. And so that's in here with like Newcastle and I always look at Jackson because they're the only ones that beat us, but yeah, Newcastle and Jackson and some of the others that are similarly sized to us. And then I realized that, you know, even though those are similar size libraries, it's also, of course, very interesting to see how we stack up per capita against bigger libraries that are local to us, right? So that's when I changed to doing the per capita comparisons. And so most years Newington is usually second in our checkouts for both of these groups, and I was really excited to be able to say that 2020 was not an exception, even though it was the weirdest year we've ever had as far as, you know, what services we're offering, all the changes throughout the year. And so the only thing that was really different and interesting was that we had a higher number of digital checkouts than other libraries. In fact, more even than Portsmouth. But that's, if you look at that little yellow part of that line, it's bigger than everybody else's yellow part, and that was the digital checkout. So I absolutely attribute that to the approach that our staff and I had, which was, we are gonna try and offer everything digitally right from the closing that we usually do physically. And we added a service called Hoopla right out of the gate that allowed for us to loan movies digitally, which we had never had before. It also gave more access to audiobooks, which has been continually popular even after we reopened, and we've gone back to the a lot of physical loaning, but that audiobooks piece has added a lot of interest for our folks that were preferring that format. So anyway, that was interesting and does tell me that Newington has a strong aptitude for continuing to use digital checkouts provided by the library. But other than that, it was just really good to see that we're still holding our own even in 2020 with some of the other libraries in the area. So what I just handed out to you is I wanted to show, rather than comparing us to other folks, I wanted to show comparisons with ourselves. So as you can see, we did have a dip in 2020, but not nearly as much as one might have expected, considering, again, that we had such different kinds of service last year. And I made a projection for 2021. Obviously, I don't know for sure, what the end of the year will look like, but I used September's numbers to project the next 3 months, because we had a spike, we always do during summer reading, so those are not typical months, so I wanted to use September to project to the end of the year, and that's where I got the numbers that we have. So we're well on our way back to our normal level of production, and are looking forward to continuing that. And that pretty much tells you, I don't know, how the library's doing. So are there any questions that you have about the budget itself? Because that is, I think, pretty straightforward, but I don't, there weren't any big changes, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
With the recreation department this year, different formatting, how much time do you feel that you spent in that? How much did it cost you because of the extra week and the extra way it was set up? Is there any way you could?
Is that a summer program?
Yeah.
Do you mean, is there anything specific about the way that
No, I'm just asking you,
Yeah.
it was different and you play us into it, I just wondered, you've got everything broken down, I just wondered what it looked like.
Okay, so this year was a little weird in more than one way. So one of the things that we did differently this year when we were planning our programming with the summer reading, the camp kids coming from Camp Newington for specific summer reading programs, one of the things that we did differently was we had 2 separate programs for them. We did a younger age group and then an older age group, which worked out really, really well, and we would hope to continue to do that. Mainly, it was in one sense double the work, but I don't think that was a bad thing at all because it was targeted more to the kids' age. I mean, if you think about it, if you got kids in kindergarten in the same group as kids with 5th and 6th grade, then you're going to have a big difference in their developmental abilities and interests. So we were happy to divide those into groups separately this year and would hope to be able to do that again because it just made it more fun for the kids and also easier to manage for us. Now it does double the amount of planning, but it was still very reasonable. But the other reason that I would have trouble saying exactly how much of, like comparing this summer easily to other summers is that we usually start planning in March what our summer reading program is going to look like. So, and that also includes booking a lot of performers from outside of the library or, presenters from outside the library. And this year we did not have that lead time because we had no idea what summer was going to look like, right? So what ended up happening was Miss Amanda did a fabulous job basically at the last minute being like, all right, we're not gonna use any external performers because now that we finally know what summer's going to look like, we're gonna do all these programs outside. We're going to plan our programs in the library, or not literally in, but outside the library, but by us. And then that was when she knew what the age groups were going to be, so she just targeted for that. And we hope to never have to do that again. At the last minute and kind of just doing it on our own without any of those external performers. But that isn't really the same as, it has nothing to do with the camp and everything to do with the pandemic.
I think even in the library running it, it's basically been the same setup. Because we used to do kids, even the library, we still had a day at the library. So there wasn't an extraordinary amount of extra work, as far as,
Right.
we still do it every year.
Exactly, so we've been doing that summer program for longer than I've been here, so that's over 6 years, and the only thing that was different this year was that 2 different programs instead of 1. So, does that answer your question, Ted?
Yeah, it kinda does, but I mean,
Okay.
you did save money by not having the outside performers, but you did spend the same amount of money. I mean, it just trying to
Oh,
equate
right.
how much it really, the
Yeah.
summer program really costs. I know it hit
Yeah,
every department going, to
right,
great amount of management time from the town hall and like that. So
Yep.
we're just trying to figure, it was a costly program, but
Yes.
it was a very worthwhile program.
I totally understand, and let me answer that question directly, is the reason that it cost just as much without external without external presenters was supplies for the programs. So like, we're not gonna be able to present, we're not magicians, so we're not just gonna literally, we've had magicians, at the, right? Yeah. So-
Trying to make me disappear.
Right.
Oh, just
So,
gonna say that, yeah.
we've had those external performers come in and they just perform. But when we're doing it, we have to buy supplies and we have to buy them for a lot of kids because this was a big program this year. There was more kids than we've ever had. So that right there is it. Every program required supplies and in some cases 2 sets because of the 2 different programs. So yeah, you break even basically. Whether you're getting someone out or you're doing it yourself, it's just a different cost. It's the same, it's just you're spending on a
And the
different
kids
thing.
enjoyed the program, even what we had.
They really did. I mean, it made me wish we could do it that way every year because I think they enjoyed it so much. But I know there's a novelty in having the groups from outside, so,
Have to be entertained.
yeah. So, yeah. Any other questions for us?
I know.
Well said.
Okay, I want to point out quick that the operating budget, this, half of it's the town budget, half of it's personnel stuff. The only ones starting from line 301 down is, I think, is operating. 301 was up 25, 319 went down 800, so we would actually reduce the operating by 775.
Okay.
And we don't have step raises, nobody got a raise last year, so we're gonna try to catch up a little bit this year and still keep it.
Any other questions?
Jack, when you talk about COLAs, are you going with, does the library go separate than what the rest of the town does?
No, well, we traditionally don't do the standard COLA. Laura's on she has a contract, and, you know, and she's hourly. And, if you look at, it's up about 6%, but that's two things. One is, compatibility, trying to get her about in the middle of all the directors. And, you know, that's where most of that came from. I suspect you're gonna hit a COLA this year around 5 or 6% based on what I'm reading for, I don't know what the town's gonna wind up recommending.
I'm figuring about 5 too, off the top of my head, looking
Yeah,
at
so
what's going on.
Social Security, 5-6%, so, it's up that much, that's not a COLA, that's just a merit raise and it's a compatibility raise. The subs, we're only getting $12 an hour, which is, not, for these days, that's pretty bad, so we just voted to raise the sub pay to 15 an hour, when we can get subs. And the staff is all gonna each get a raise, because nobody got anything last year, just so we try to keep things flat.
And the only full-time employee you got is Laura, right?
2, no,
Two?
Amanda, we did
Okay.
that 3 years ago?
2 years ago.
Okay.
Years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, that budget was for half a year, 3/4 we had this one.
Okay,
Alright,
thank you.
thank you.
Any questions, ladies? Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jack. Thank
That's
you.
it, for the entertainment value.
ETA chief, Ann, did you have anything? I know you're here to observe, but is there any questions?
I'm good, just if there's any questions, I want to be here for you.
I'm glad you, made it through your operation all right.
Yeah.
It's pretty, I mean, you just can't get carpal surgery. First you have to go to physical therapy, and that doesn't work. Then you have to go, what's called an EMG, with a jab, with a zap,
Yeah.
with high voltage, and your fingers twitch and everything,
Yeah.
to prove it's not the nervous system. Then they finally let you get the surgery, and that was it.
Takes forever to get there.
I know,
Been there, done that.
yeah, and so I just got the wrap today, get stitches off the end of next week. Funny.
Is that you drinking here, Jack?
Debbie, that's the only thing I still breathe in here.
I was gonna say, you're ambidextrous.
I am ambidextrous anyway.
Yeah.
So I'll see you tomorrow, we'll get there.
I have a question for our chief, if I may.
Yes, sir.
We had a fire in town. I heard that you guys did a super job down there.
You did.
Now, the people are still in a hotel, or they even, yeah,
I've
okay.
actually reached out to one of them today, and they are in the hotel still, and at this time, they don't need anything right now, so
Okay.
I told them if they needed anything, to please let me know.
Well, I want to commend the fire department for an excellent job. You guys did an excellent job, got the fire down quickly, didn't spread through the whole house, which is great. And knowing that we had a fire a few years back, we only had one pump and it didn't work. Now we have 3 trucks and 3 pumps. That was my goal from day one on that, and you knew I was, so. Thank you for that, chief. Outstanding job.
Crews did a great job.
I know that's your job, but I thought you should be congratulated.
Very good, thank you, we all agree, Michael.
Okay.
Now, chief, when I talked to, Mike at the police department, he said he had authorized his patrolman, something about the town car to put the person up if they weren't taken care of by.
So yes, if something came up, there's money in the emergency management if we have to take care of town residents.
Okay.
Or
I
something
that.
like that to happen, yeah. So if she didn't have insurance or anything like that,
Yep.
we absolutely, between the 3 budgets, we would take care of.
We did that a few years back when I first
Yeah,
got on that
absolutely.
meeting.
So we could theoretically.
What, does the
or
patrolman
he-
have a card, or does he just go into the hotel and say the town will make it good, or how does that work?
Yeah, we could theoretically put on either one of our credit cards for the town and just then take those funds and charge it against emergency management down the road, but you know, at 1
But
o'clock in the morning.
I
if we
guess
had
my
to-
question is, do your guys have that same capability
Yes.
as, good?
Absolutely.
Well, I'm glad it worked out the way it did. Again, congratulations.
No, it worked out very well.
A job well done.
What was the cause of that, chief? Is it,
We're not doing the report yet, but it's accidental, electrical, so,
Could have been a lot worse, chief.
absolutely.
You guys responded quickly, you got a job, knocked it down, got a one call, was it a one alarm you put out on it?
Yes, yep,
Perfect.
yep. No
And
problem.
the
And actually,
response?
even we struck the first alarm, and we probably 10 minutes after they struck it, we ended up returning almost everybody, so,
Okay.
except for.
So we got a good response on our other surrounding communities?
Oh, yeah, well, absolutely, we have a very, very robust.
I know you're working on that, and I'm really pleased about that.
We are very, very set up.
Right.
I guess that's all the business, Michael, you want me to motion to adjourn?
5:53, we'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye,
Opposed?
thank you.
Chief, you didn't make Channel 9, or
No.
National made Channel 9.
No news is
But,
good news.
but one of the rescuers, the neighbor rescuer, had a heart attack after they got from the.
Yes.
So they wound up saving him.
Yes,
Yeah.
yep.
So, imagine the 95-year-old lady.
I saw that on the
Thank you,
news.
nice to see you.
That's
It's the water bill.
Oh, got it.
I'm working on it.
My grandmother used to say.
Yeah, thank you,
"Oh,
though.
appreciate it." Don't be on stuff.